Legend is Exodus, searching for euphoria. Judging through the mud to find the present, no ignoring us. Got 20,000 deep up in the street like we some warriors. My mama told me never bow your head. Whoa.
I feel glorious, glorious. Got a chance to start again. I was born for this, born for this. It's who I am, how could I forget? I made it through the darkest part of the night, and now I see the sunrise. Now I feel glorious, glorious. I feel glorious, glorious.
I'm feeling glorious. The crib looking victorious. Oh yes it is. You know that we've been going it. Since we hopped out that DeLorean. Yeah, we went.
Welcome in, everybody, to Purple and Gold Talk. My name is Jim Cross. I am joined by the Ava Garza. Ava, how we doing tonight?
I'm doing really, really good. Everyone knows I'm really, really excited for it. So,
Second episode of Purple and Gold Talk, but this is a good one. We got Get Like Mike, Michael Anderson in the house. How you doing, man?
Doing great. Thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely. So before we get into your story, quick question. You were at the LSU football game Saturday night. So were we. How are you feeling as we're fixing to go in this gauntlet of Vandy and Texas A&M and Alabama? We still got some adjustments to make, but do you feel like, this team can get on the right path to make a run?
I mean, I might be in the minority, but I feel pretty good still, man. I feel like I know we got a lot of talent, and we haven't put it all together yet, but I think they will at some point play their best games. So it definitely gives me some hope.
Yeah, Ava, I don't know if you saw, but they officially made it. Texas A&M is a night game. I know people get mad. We get a bunch of night games, but hey, that's what happens when you are LSU.
whenever you're playing a team like A&M, where 12th man is obviously second best because Death Valley's best, because I've been to both and we know Death Valley's better. But whenever you're playing a team like A&M that's used to 12th man, it's going to be a tough game.
And we're going to be honoring the baseball team with the national championship ring. So, it's champions in the house. It's going to have championship vibe. I feel good about it.
Absolutely.
But enough about
We got to get by Vandy first, though.
Oh, yeah. You know what made me feel good about this last game? The way we were after, Sellers, their quarterback, Pavia, he's not going to be able to avoid that rush. I feel like our defense is going to be able to completely lock him down.
Yeah,
Wow.
I mean, the defense looks awesome. I think the offense is going to put it together. I'm a big Nussmeier fan, so I think we're going to put it together.
It's bound to happen eventually. So, Mike, where are you from?
Where am I from?
Yes.
I was born and raised here in Baton Rouge. I'm actually in Baton Rouge right now. But yeah, born and raised.
So were you ever artistic and creative growing up, or is this something new that kind of came later in life?
Well, it came a little bit later, but I was always painting. My grandmother was an artist, obviously way before social media and all that stuff. So she didn't really have a way to market herself, but we were always, when we go to Lafayette to visit them, we'd always be painting. And I definitely have some fond memories of that. And then, I took art class in high school, but it wasn't really, and I never saw it as a career opportunity. And then, I think it was just me trying to be find my way to be close to sports, right? Like you guys are doing the podcast. I just love LSU so much that it's not that surprising that I found my way there.
So who was your biggest inspiration kind of growing up?
So I would say I get a lot of inspiration from music. So a lot of my favorite musical artists like Russ, J. Cole, a bunch of those guys. And then also, Jacob Zumo is an artist from Baton Rouge, world-class talent. He was the guy that I saw. He's done paintings for Mac Miller and Drake and all these famous people. And I saw that and was like, hey, I can paint. Let me try to do some stuff with that. And really, that's where it all started. So shout out to Jacob.
So
I don't know. I gotta cut and tell Mike something funny. So I teach art classes at the recovery center with my wife. Whenever she can't be there, I cover for her. And it's funny because there's so much talent in there, but you have to get through to these guys first, because for whatever reason, they think that painting is for girls. And I'm like, you name me a famous girl artist. And then they like hesitate. And it's like, you can't, can you? And it's like, I don't know where this concept came that it was like a feminine thing, but I was like, you know, when you talk about the arts, the most creative geniuses you can come up with are guys. And so it's kind of funny. And so then they start putting, you know, they start listening, they start following the class, and the next thing you know, they find out they got talent, and then they can't wait to start painting on their own. It's like, all right, you see what we're doing now.
Well, hey, if they think painting is for girls, well, people tell me that sewing is for girls, and I do a lot of sewing, so you know, fully embracing my feminine side, I guess, with that.
There you go.
So you went to school at LSU. What did you major in?
So I majored in engineering, which is funny, you know, because I mean I was good at math. I was a decent student, and you know, at the time I was just a little, you know, like everybody else, man, trying to find my place in the world, a little bit lost. You know, really, I wanted to do something in sports. But I'd been told my whole life how difficult that was, you know, and like, okay, you can major in sports admin. Well, then what are you going to do, you know, if you can't get a job in that? So, you know, and I went to a good high school, so we were kind of pushed more towards like the academic side. I practiced as an engineer, I think for like 3 years, maybe 2. And then I was like, then I got into sales after that.
So last question for me, when did you start making custom cleats?
So I started doing the customs with the sneakers and cleats. That was in 2018. And the first project ever was with Skylar Mays, actually. Shout out to Skylar. And it was you know, I've been wanting to do it. So when I was at LSU, is when I kind of saw guys start doing it, like on social media. You'd see Odell and like some of those guys do it at the like early stages of all of it. And actually I was out at the bar one night, I think at Shady's, and I saw Odell there, and I went up and talked to him, and I was like, hey man, I want to do a pair of custom cleats for you. And he was like, all right, cool. Like, let's do it. But, you know, I'd never done it before. And then at the time there was no NIL. So I couldn't just give it to him. Mm-hmm. Right. So it kind of fell through. And then fast forward, you know, several years later, it was actually when Wade Sims was killed. And that, you know, obviously was a big deal to the LSU community. And there was something in me that was like, I have to do it now. So I had reached out to Skylar through some mutual friends. And we did a memorial shoe for Wade that Skylar actually got to wear against Vanderbilt whenever they won the SEC and cut down the nets. And Wade's family was there, and you know, I got to meet Miss Faye and Mr. Wayne, and you know, it was just a really, really special thing. And that was the first one that I ever did. And you know, I didn't know what I was doing, so there was a lot of trial and error. But looking back, it's pretty cool that was the first one. Just because I realized like what a difference it could make. So as soon as I did that one, I fell in love with it, and been off to the races ever since.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we had to get this story first. We would have never known that, you know, you were supposed to be an engineer, obviously different plan, different path, but then how you got into this whole thing, and obviously with the first, you know, shoes you made and taking off from there, you know, you eventually start a Boot Up Customs, which, you know, you have a vision of fashion to go along with custom designing these shoes and cleats. You know, I've got the hoodie. You know, how is the Boot Up Customs going as a whole? Because obviously I see you wearing the hat. That's probably my favorite thing. I got to get one of those, the real LA. But, you know, how is it going right now?
Oh, it's awesome, man. You know, when I first started, I guess my original dream was to have a clothing brand. That was always something I wanted to do. But, you know, I didn't have a lot of encouragement to do it because it's hard. It's super competitive, and you know, you can make all kinds of like really awesome fire stuff. Unless you have the right people wearing it, nobody really cares, you know? Mm-hmm. And so I always saw the cleat side of it as kind of my end to eventually do the clothing. And I wanted to build a community first. You know, I wanted people to you know, have some kind of familiarity with me and what I do, you know, based on social media or whatever, before I did that. So waited until, and actually we had the first collection drop. It's almost coming up on about a year. So it was last November. And that had been in the works for a couple years. And I mean, it's been amazing. And I like to say that the clothing side is really, where I can make the most impact because I can reach so many more people. Right. So it's like, because with the art projects and the cleats, I turn down 99 out of 100 projects that come across my desk. Right. And because it's just me, like I'm making everything. Cleats take 24 hours. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it. I like doing all the content and I like doing the delivery and stuff. So I don't really have a ton more time. So, for a long time, I would have people that want to support what I'm doing. Like, hey, Michael, can you paint these butterflies on my girlfriend's Air Force Ones? And as much as I would love to do it, I couldn't. But now there's something for everybody, and now it's not just about like doing cool cleats for LSU players, but there's a lot more of a call to action, right, with Boot Up, and there's a lot more sense of community. It really is amazing to see, when I'm out, tailgating and see people wearing it, or they come on a podcast and I see this guy wearing it, and it really has been. I've gotten like an amazing reception from it, and then a lot of people kind of identify with the brand ethos, the message you're trying to put out. And what that is we say, with Boot Up Customs, you're reminded to be where your feet are as you reach for the stars. The hardest part is getting started. All you got to do is boot up, and it's about taking action. It's funny. I'll have people ask me for advice and, unsure if I'm the guy that should be giving it. But, the main thing that I tell people is like, you just got to do it. And you put one foot after the other. And there's so many people that could do amazing things that they either never try or they quit. And so that's what Boot Up's about, right? It's about getting started. It's about turning on. It's about lacing up your shoes and getting ready to go attack the day to go into battle. Hopefully along this journey, I inspire some people to do that.
Yeah, no doubt. Like you say that we started the podcast in 2020 because COVID and we were bored. But honestly, me and the other host, Daniel, we wanted to start it back in 2015. So I know what you're talking about. Like we were probably never going to do it if COVID doesn't hit. And so I know what you're talking about. We had this dream to do it, but we, just weren't going to follow it. We were scared it wasn't going to work out. And so luckily it did, but I know exactly what you're talking about. And then I also knew, because I work for Jesus One Apparel, what you're talking about. When athletes wear it, it takes off. Once we got college teams wearing it last year, it was such a big deal. And then now we got MLB guys wearing it, in the playoffs. And so, yeah, you get the right people wearing it. It's all over social media, man, things take off.
Well, yeah. And it's, and that initial spark that you're talking about, that's exactly what I mean, right? Where it's like, people ask me about doing the cleats for the first time or whatever. And it's like, it was a long time ago at this point. So I don't remember exactly what I was thinking, but I had that initial, like, what, I'm going to do this. And I want more people to do that. And, that's what Boot Up is all about, is that initial spark, that initial getting started and, just like continuing on. And, you can see from my work from when I first started to what I'm doing now, I've improved, 1,000 times over. And I think that's, that should be, motivation or inspiration for anybody that, wants to start something.
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up. My wife being a professional artist, I used to think she was awesome 15 years ago, Mike, but then I see some of the stuff now and then look at some of the stuff then, and you see the massive improvement, right? And she does too. And it's like, you didn't realize it then. So yeah, it's pretty funny when you look back. But, talking about the cleats and the shoes you've done, obviously, as a huge LSU baseball fan, I love when you did Cruz and Skeens and Tommy White and Trey Morgan, that whole crew. Probably my favorite's probably Tommy Tanks or Dylan Cruz Missile. But what's your favorite pair of shoes or cleats you've done?
Oh man, I'm trying to think. So my answer for a while was the Cruise Missile ones, the second version of the Cruise Missile. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'm a little bit biased because I just love Dylan Cruz so much because he's just like a top-notch dude. Better human being than baseball player, which how is that possible, right? Mm. I did some Honey Badger cleats that ended up being for Tyron's last game in the NFL, last game with the Saints. and they were like they had like animal like hair on hide, and so those there was no paint on those at all. Those were fully cut and sew, stitched. So that would probably be my favorite ones as of now.
That makes sense that you said that, because my next question, ironically, and she can tell you season us,
Yeah,
it felt like something was different about when you did those for him, because you could see that you were more emotional into it, and so that may be why that, or he just may have been one of your favorite players all the time, but it definitely felt like that pair was more special than the rest.
Yeah, I mean, it's Tyrann Mathieu, right? It's like when I first started this. I mean, I was at LSU while Tyrann was there, and I used to see him at the UREC, and I mean, just like, but it didn't feel like we were the same age, I mean, he was like, I mean, we all like worshipped this guy, but then I mean, but also it's his story too, right? It's the highest of highs, and then the fall from grace, and then picking himself back up and becoming a good person. I mean, I think he won like Man of the Year in the NFL and things like that, where just like a super inspirational story, and a guy that didn't come from much, and it's just like such a good example to all the young athletes that I want to work with and that I will work with. And yeah, I mean, Tyrann, I like him as a football player, probably my favorite player of all time, but then also just as a guy and as a story of redemption. And if you watch the video, it's funny because I told him, I was like, I used to say whenever I did this project with you, Tyrann, that I was going to retire, and he was like, "Nah, don't retire." So that was a bucket list project for sure. And one of those moments. I mean, I was walking the halls of the Saints facility with Tyrann Mathieu. That to me means I've won. And I have big goals, and I have huge ambition for everything that I'm doing. But that was one of those moments where I, like, what more can I ask for?
Even though we're in two different industries, but like you said, because it's both sports, I felt the same way after interviewing Burrow and Chase for Super Bowl Media Day for the Bengals. I was like, I don't even have a reason to do this anymore. I was like, it's not going to get better than this. So I know exactly what you're talking about, but it's so cool that you got, like, you talk about his aura, like that year there. I've never seen one guy be so dominant, offense or defense. Like I just haven't. And so like you said, he was just something different. So that's so cool that you got to do them for him. Speaking of players and their story, I wanted to ask you, with Kyren Lacy, the news coming out and him being cleared of what he's done, you got to know him, you got to do stuff with him. Just how much did that mean to you to, obviously, him, probably even his family, to see that get cleared up?
Yeah. I mean, man, it brings me back, it kind of like reminded me of how it all felt, when it all happened. It was hard. And, I would never act like I could understand what his like closest friends and family go through or went through. But it was hard for me to accept at the beginning, because the Kyren that I knew was not even close to the Kyren that was being misrepresented, as we know now, in the media. I mean, I could give you so many stories, but we did that project with Go Cairo. They had sponsored our cleats, and I mean, just the respectfulness and the humbleness and taking time out. Like we did it at the LSU practice facility, and so all the Go Cairo docs like brought their kids, and they're all running around, and Kyren took pictures with all of them, and he just waited around. He wasn't in a rush. I mean, I could go on and on. We also shot actually, and Kyren was the guy that like wanted to wear my cleats the most. Like he was so excited about it. I mean, you could see it in the video, but he was the season wasn't going the way they wanted it to last year. So the coaches were telling him that they couldn't wear custom cleats, but Kyren wanted to wear those things more than anything. So he finally got to do it. I think he probably snuck them on. But then actually the hoodie stuff that we did, so the first clothing drop I ever did. He was the first athlete that I ever shot with that. And that video is amazing and real special to me. I used to I got sent photos of him wearing the hoodie and he's out at some flag football games, taking pictures with all little kids. And I mean, just a humble, energetic, always had a big smile on his face. So when it first came out, I guess it was difficult for me to accept. Mm-hmm. I kind of had a feeling that we weren't getting the whole truth. But obviously, I can't really speak on that as not being there. But really, really sad to hear all this stuff come out. Also, I mean, now that everything's happened, I guess, it is a positive thing that, his name can be cleared as much as we've been able to. And, immediately as I saw that, I saw it on Tiger Droppings, I think, right away. And I immediately went to social media. I don't get involved in too much stuff, but that was something that I immediately, I wanted to share. And I just wanted as many people to see that as possibly could, because I always knew what kind of guy Kyron was. And, I'll say this, if every athlete that I worked with treated me like Kyron Lacy treated me, I would have no problems.
Yeah, and to me, it's a big deal, because anybody we bring on the show, we want them to have great character and to go on to great things. And so when like you said, you do your first hoodie and everything wearing with him, and these things are coming out that weren't true, it's a representation towards you too. So not only do you care for him as somebody but it is a reflection of the brand. So I was glad that it all got cleared up. But moving forward, what is the next step for Boot Up? What's the next step for you? Do you got things in the works?
Yeah, we're always plotting. So as far as the cleat side of stuff, it's just a one-man show right now. I do have a content team. My guy Josiah shoots and edits a lot of my content. We are super backed up. I have probably 20 projects that we've done that I haven't been able to post about, just because we're just so busy. So we're working on some of that stuff. We actually just finished up editing the videos from baseball from this past season. So we got Cade and Anthony Ianson, Derek Curiel, Jake Brown, Stephen Milam, some of those guys. Mm-hmm. And then as far as moving forward and stuff we have planned, I can't give all the details yet, but we do have some stuff that'll be coming out officially with the athletic department, with the athletic programs themselves, and not just individual players now. So I'll be excited to share that stuff, hopefully in the next month or so, as we get everything finalized with that. That's been 8 years in the works, and just super grateful because this doesn't happen without everybody that's been supporting me. And we finally were loud enough that LSU took notice, and that can be hard sometimes. And then I would say the next really big thing is I have a new collection of Boot Up clothing coming out in, I'm going to say 2 weeks. It might be a little bit longer, y'all know how it is. But everything's finished on my end. We're just kind of waiting to get all the inventory and get all the content shot, whatever else. But it's the 15-0 collection. So it's an ode to the 2019 15-0 national championship LSU football team. So 15-0, we've got 15 new pieces. I'm a little bit biased, and I probably say this every time, but I think it's the best thing that I've ever worked on. And it's funny, with the clothing side, it's a little bit different from the cleats, right? Because as long as me and the athlete like the cleats, that's fine. That's all that matters. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. As far as the clothing, I got to get everybody to like it. We got to sell it. So, no, it really is awesome. I've been, going around tailgating and wearing some of it the last few games. So the reception has been great, and I'm really excited. And again, the clothing thing to me is I saw a need for it. I'm an LSU fan before I am anything else. And I was tired of the cheap see-through stuff that you get from Fanatics when your team wins the championship. So I'm here to fix that. We got some real high quality stuff to celebrate what is, obviously the best team in college football history.
Absolutely.
Perfect. So before we close this out, we always play a little game. So today we're playing this or that with you. So you can pick one or the other, but you can't pick both. The first question is coffee or energy drink?
Coffee for sure.
Beef or chicken?
Beef.
Purple or gold?
Purple all day long.
Baseball or football?
Football to watch, baseball for cleats.
Cleats, cleats or sneakers?
Oh man, cleats. I'm gonna go cleats because I don't get to wear them. I get to wear sneakers. I don't get to wear cleats.
LSU or Saints?
LSU all day long. Sorry to the Saints, but all day.
Concert or sporting event?
Oh, come on. I mean, that's okay. That is the two. That is the two most favorite things in my life. But I'll say sporting event, obviously, because that's number one. But concert is number two.
And then this is Jim's favorite question: 5 years in prison or 10 years in a coma?
Neither's fun. That's why it's a hard one.
I'll say, man, I don't want to miss any time. I guess I'm going to jail. I'll be working out. I'll be plotting. Yeah, I want to be awake.
I've said the same thing. My host thinks it's crazy. He doesn't want to go anywhere near prison, and neither do I. But man, I don't want to lose 10 years of my life at all.
Nah, come on. I'm getting too old for all that.
Okay, so before we close this thing out, is there anything that you want to plug or promote?
One more time?
Is there anything that you want to plug or promote before we close it out?
Well, yeah, I mean, just what I talked about. We have the 15-0 collection is going to be so awesome. I every single day I wake up and I'm so excited and so blessed to be doing what I'm doing and to be and just I count down the seconds until I'm able to release stuff like that and share it with the world. But I guess what I do want to say is to you, Jim, as far as giving these college athletes a platform to speak and making them feel like part of the family, and because a lot of times people forget that these are literal 18 to 21 year olds, unless you're the Vanderbilt quarterback and you're 30. But these are kids, and you see what people say in the media and this and that, and guys can be misunderstood. And you look at someone like Kyron, to be able to come on here and you can see their personality, right? And they get to tell their story in their way. So you guys keep on doing what you guys are doing. I see it all the time. I know it's making an impact. And giving those kids a chance to speak on things that they care about, I think is really, really important.
Appreciate it. Yeah, it's fun, and I know exactly what you're talking about. It's funny how they can think they know somebody because they watch them on a football field and see 5% of their life and have no clue who they are.
Yeah, and also from just that's something I try to do. Whenever one of the reasons we shoot the content the way we do is because I want other brands and people to see these kids and their personality. So hopefully that attracts more opportunities and stuff for them. So, I try to give back more than I take, and I know that you guys are definitely doing that. So it's much appreciated. Yeah,
you do.
Perfect. Mike, we'd like to thank you for joining us. If you like Mike's story and you love purple and gold, please like and share on Facebook, retweet us on X, like and subscribe on YouTube, and give us a follow on Instagram. Our next couple of shows, we got all baseball, Reagan and Bricken, Marcos Paz, and then we'll have Braxton Beatty and Lawson McLeod on the show. Until then, love purple and live gold.